People are finally starting to reject the body positivity movement. Is it really a movement if they use electric scooters to move? It's more of a battery-operated movement. Hey, fellow fatties, let's have a march as soon as our rascals recharge. The thing that helps implode the movement is when they get out of breath when they have to stand and do an interview. There was a fat activist, Kelly Drinkwater, who did a TEDx talk. Unfortunately, she was standing while giving the talk. She was out of breath while talking. The audience was applauding a woman torturing herself to death. If you don't know who she is a woman dying from morbid obesity. She's right on the cusp of not being ambulatory. If she breaks an ankle, it may never heal properly. If she gets a cut on her foot, she might get an infection due to poor circulation and lose the foot or the leg. If she has any injury to her knees, she is done walking forever. She won't even get the mild exercise she gets from walking her 400 pounds around. She will die from heart failure in a decade or just be bedbound and miserable. That's not living, that's dying. If she loses a leg from diabetes, her fans will just blindly ignore it. Or they'll blame it on diabetes. But they'll seem to ignore that obesity massively increases the likelihood of type 2 diabetes. They will claim that skinny people also get diabetes, which is true, but the numbers are radically different. Your body fat percentage increases your risk of diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and arthritis. All radically increase, even if obesity had zero effect on your health. Are you happy being the size you are? If someone told you you had to carry a backpack around with a 10-pound weight in it for the rest of your life, that would be a prison sentence. What if it was 50 pounds? You would be miserable. The effect of it would be that you would walk less, you would go out less, you wouldn't be dancing or doing the fun things that most people enjoy. Your whole life would change for the worse. Well, you aren't a victim because you're fat. You did it to yourself, but the good news is that you can change it. You didn't get fat overnight. It took months of overeating. But you can drop the fat. Best of all, the advice is free, and you will save money by cutting out all the foods that you know are bad for you. Eating right doesn't take expensive foods. It takes potatoes, rice, beans, pasta, a bit of olive oil, a bit of veggies, and a small amount of meat. If you're on a budget, I'm talking about an egg or two and a piece of chicken a day. Or if you don't want to eat meat, you don't have to. You can do it totally vegetarian. Every time I hear the excuse that they can't afford a gym membership, guess what? You don't need one. Your first year or two, or forever, you can just focus on your diet and walking. If you have hills in your area, consider that a gift from God. If you are really lucky, you will have a staircase that you can use. Your nightly walking equipment will consist of your shoes, 2 bottles of pepper spray, and a flashlight. A $20 rechargeable flashlight will last you years. If you're 300 pounds, your shoes are going to wear out quickly. But when you hit 250, they're going to last much longer. And yes, you need a couple bottles of pepper spray and a folding knife. You don't want to meet a rabid coyote without a sharp stabbing knife. I know I sound like a nut job, always recommending pepper spray and knives, but trust me, it's better to have it even if you never use it. I mentioned walking at night because heat stroke isn't fun. As you lose fat, you can walk earlier. Fat activists are the best advocates for a healthier diet. They don't mean to be, but they are. Most people look at these obese activists and absolutely do not want to be like them. They know bullshit when they hear it. The 150-pound woman looks at the 200-pound woman and knows that in her near future. The obese talk about accepting yourself. But let me ask them, what is the positive about being obese? There is none. There is no benefit to carrying around pounds of extra fat. People are finally getting the balls to speak out about this nonsense. Someone in the comments said a lot of this stuff happened during the Obama era. During that 8-year period, it felt like the adults had left the room. The country got weird in many directions, but the obesity problem continued to get worse, and hundreds of billions were spent on diabetes. The healthcare system is going bankrupt. You can't have fat acceptance and open borders. With the obese, you have people who aren't very productive and who drain the healthcare system. When you add in immigrants, you have people who drain the system more than they contribute. That leads to a system that is guaranteed to run out of money. The fat acceptance people are death acceptance people, except oddly enough, they don't accept anorexia. They have no problem skinny shaming people. The body acceptance movement is as silly as a heroin acceptance movement, because we know heroin is dangerous. So is obesity. The healthcare costs for obesity are massive and growing. People blame Obama for a lot of this, but the conditions were set decades before, in the 80s and 90s. There was this huge push for self-esteem. At the time, the divorce rate was increasing, and there was a lot of latchkey kids. The cultural Marxists and globalists were only too happy to push feminism, which increased the divorce rate and increased obesity. Their goal is to weaken the country, and feminism, obesity, immigration, divorce, they all contribute to the destruction of the unity of a nation. Diversity isn't strength, it's weakness. Unity is strength. It's time for people to wake up and turn their lives around and turn the country around. Who knows, maybe the country can start to unite under nutrition. The first thing the cultural Marxists did was to create language control concepts. Terms like fat phobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, people of color. This nomenclature comes right out of 1984. These words were invented to destroy free expression, which destroys free thought. If you destroy the words, you destroy the concepts behind those words. Every group or concept is open to criticism, because people do bad things. Concepts need to be brought into the light of the open marketplace of ideas. They need debate, cross-examination, and argument. Nothing should be off limits just because it's not politically correct to discuss it. Before social media, these insane, morbidly obese didn't have a way to advocate for their death acceptance group. If you want to eat yourself to death or kill yourself with heroin, knock yourself out. But when you have Tess Holiday, she is a role model for obese young girls who ordinarily would be interested in learning about nutrition. Instead, they see photoshops of Tess Holiday and don't bother learning about nutrition. They keep eating Pop-Tarts and soda. They never decide to turn their lives around. They feel empowered by eating cookies because people like Tess Holiday and Whitney Thorne, Kelly Drinkwater, they are dooming these girls to a shortened lifetime that is guaranteed to be filled with pain and, of course, the destruction of the healthcare system. You aren't fat-phobic any more than you are cancer-phobic, which is funny because obesity leads to cancer. The only argument the fat activists have is to call you fat-phobic. A phobia is an irrational fear. Is it rational to fear the negative health consequences of obesity, or Islam for that matter? Both are hazardous to your health, and it's literally not politically correct to discuss the issue. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. And, wow. Just wow. One funny thing. This is, this girl has the TLC show. I don't know what it is. My Fabulous Fat Life or something like that. But when you see pictures of, what's her name? The other fat one. You see photos of this lady. Now, this is just a, what do you call, paparazzi type photograph with the telephoto lens. Take a good close look at what she looks like when the paparazzi pulls out the 300 millimeter lens. Now compare that to a Vogue cover or a Cosmo cover. The Photoshop, the photographic retouching they do is off the charts. So little girls are looking at her with a corset trimmer, what are those things called, tummy tighteners, squeezed into a dress, and they, covered in pounds of makeup. And then they take the photos under the best lighting they possibly can. And that's not the end of it. I mean, that's already a manipulation of the viewers, and the viewers, a lot of them are young girls. That's just the start of it. And then they take that digital card over to your computer, and the best digital retouching tools are applied. You don't see any of these bizarre roles. And their argument is, well, all models have digital retouching. True enough. Yeah, but these models have much, much fewer digital retouchings. They might get a zit removed if they can't conceal a zit with makeup. They might get that removed. If they have red eye, well, it's easy enough to digitally remove red eye. That's something I do all the time. They're not getting their legs toned in or their bellies tightened. This is most likely an unretouched photograph, just a Victoria's Secret's fashion show somebody pulled out a camera. Or it might be a publicity still, but it's a really doubt it's retouched. Because believe it or not, they're pretty much at a healthy weight. I know you think they're a little underweight. If you had, it's better for most creatures to be a little bit underweight than it is to be overweight. There's a longevity studies that tested animals, and they find the ones that are a little bit underweight live much longer, healthier lives, because one of the aspects is when you're underweight, you're consuming less calories. It means you're introducing fewer foods and toxins and pollutants into the system, and you're simply putting less stress on the system. So your body can handle being, 10 pounds underweight, whatever these girls are, no problem. But being 10 pounds overweight actually has a little bit more deleterious effects. And come on, let's be honest, we're not 10 pounds overweight. Overweight. We're I don't know what the average obesity rate is in America, but it's way more than 10 pounds. It's obese, morbidly obese, affecting the quality of people's lives. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next episode.